Okay, so I'm in the back room continuing to paint. I made a short video about a while ago. I wasn't in the video, I was behind the camera. I'm in the video now. So what we were doing was basically painting the skirtings, the walls, the ceilings in white ceiling paint as an undercut. And we're going to paint it a nice colour then. Probably Tuesday, today is Sunday. But I just said I'd leave the video camera run while I'm working and have a chat about, I suppose, about the times we're living in really. So it's early September 2020 and the news every day is about something called COVID-19, which is a virus. It's a virus that attacks the respiratory system and it's highly infectious. And it started in China last December 2019, or even earlier. And it's kind of vague how it started, but they say in the news that it came from bats. It was an infection that jumped from bats. Bats were being sold in some wet market in China in a place called Wuhan. And the infection spread from the bats to humans. Yeah, bats have been around for probably hundreds of thousands of years and if we were never affected by them before. I don't know, I'm suspicious. It's not really clear anyway how the virus came about. I think it would be fair to say I don't think anybody would argue that that's not really discussed anymore. How the virus came about, probably going over the shop now. It's not really discussed anymore, nobody really talks about what started the virus. But there is a viral research centre in Wuhan in China, and it definitely started in China because we started to get news from China. And I think everybody knew by January that there was a catastrophic epidemic in China that was killing people, killing old people, vulnerable people, people with underlying conditions, which is a kind of a catch-all phrase. Who knows what underlying conditions really means specifically, but that was the thing anyway. It was killing people with underlying conditions, this virus, COVID-19, or coronavirus, or even novel coronavirus, which whatever that means, I don't really know. But anyway, they knew about it in December last year. We definitely knew about it by January. And what did they do to isolate it to China? Nothing really. They allowed it to spread. And I went to Italy, and that was big news then when I went to Italy. Italy is a good bit away from China. Say Italy is a fair old spin from China. You wouldn't get there in an hour and an all escort like. You'd have to make a big effort to get as far as Italy from China. But anyway, there's no break in northern Italy. And of course this was big news back in late January, early February. And what did they do to isolate it or try to stop it from spreading from northern Italy? Well, they didn't do anything really. There was nothing really done. It spread down to the south of Italy because when they announced that they were thinking about doing a lockdown and travel restrictions, all the wealthy people living in northern Italy, which by the way, northern Italy is a very wealthy place, apparently, places like Milan and other places. All the rich people got into their cars and their planes and their helicopters and they flew down and they all went from northern Italy to southern Italy and all over Italy. All roads lead to Rome, I suppose, so they went to Rome. And then around February time here in Ireland, all the kids that were taking their midterm breaks and an awful lot of adults as well, guess where they went on their holidays? Oh yeah, they went to northern Italy, even though it was in the news about this and everything, people went to northern Italy. And anyway, long story short, there was nothing done to restrict it to China. and there was nothing done to restrict it to Northern Italy. Well, nothing significant. The term lockdown has been used an awful lot, but I'd have to look it up in the dictionary because there weren't that many stringent, there was no stringent restrictions. We were all allowed to continue on as per normal until very late March. And then one of my biggest memories of late March is that our Taoiseach, our Prime Minister, came on the TV one night at 9 o'clock and he said, you have to stay at home, you all have to stay at home, and we're going to give you money, we're going to give you €350 a week. Now €350 a week is about, it's about the wages you'll be getting in a place like, if you were on the minimum wage, you get around €350 a week. So that's what people were getting, and some people were getting that on top of something that they had already. So for example, if you were on a disability allowance or a social welfare payment, and your part-time job was gone because of COVID, you get this €350 a week. Now, if you go and get suspicious over something like that, a government giving you money for nothing, and by the way, this is the first significant thing that they did. The first significant thing is to give us money and to tell us to stay home. I was working as a forklift instructor. My work was cancelled the day after Patrick's Day, so on the 18th of March I was told by the training manager in Young Heinrich, there's no work there, kid, all the work is after being cancelled. I'm a self-employed person, so what that meant for me anyway was I'd have to get online and claim this COVID payment of €350 a week, and I did, and I was very happy to get it. I got it for 2 weeks, and I started looking for a job because essential services were allowed to open. Think about that now, essential services were allowed to open, which is great because I mean we all have to eat and we all need to still go to the hospital and stuff, and we all need, you know, we have needs that we have to be met with to call essential services. So I got a job anyway in an essential service, and I got it very quickly and I was very happy to get it. Pepsi in Little Island, apparently PepsiCo, they make fizzy drinks and crisps, and they make an awful lot of products actually all over the world. Monster sized company, but they were an essential service. We have to have Pepsi and we have to have crisps. It's essential. And when I was doing the induction actually with Pepsi, one of the HR people said they had a big spike in their demand because apparently doctors and nurses and frontline people, well that's another phrase, no that's another key phrase, if you're a doctor or a nurse or a frontline person, some people working in shops and supermarkets, they think they're frontline people, and maybe they are because they're coming into contact with the public. But they all were depending on Pepsi because to keep going, to keep working, to keep the energy levels up, they have to have their Pepsi stuff, and they have to have their crisps, and they have to have their Quakers and their orange juice and stuff like that. Because Pepsi makes all that kind of thing, orange juice, Tropicana, they make a load of products. Huge volume of business, Pepsi, they make, you know, so much product, it's unbelievable, it's all real volume business. And anyway, I'm delighted to be working at Pepsi, great company, and now I find myself almost 6 months into a 3-month contract. So that's strange, isn't it? The world is getting stranger and stranger. Lockdowns, there aren't lockdowns, essential services, fizzy drinks, and to take on a 3-month contract and it lasts just 6 months, which is great because I'm delighted to be there and I'm applying for a permanent position. But I will say this, try and position that camera now, so it's going to be shooting my back to some extent anyway, but I'm very happy and I'm delighted to be applying for a permanent position. But my head is wrecked because I find it all this very confusing. For first of all how it got from China to Italy, then how it got to the rest of the world, and then we get these mixed messages about restrictions that are happening to save us and keep us safe. For example, one of the big restrictions now is pubs are all closed down in Ireland since March the 20th. This is September the 6th. And that's keeping all of us safe anyway. The pubs are being closed. Restaurants are open, supermarkets are open, cinemas are open. No, they're open, but they have to exercise cautions and restrictions. You have to wear a mask or a face covering whenever you're going into a shop now, or a barber shop, or anywhere. You have to wear a mask or a face covering. And we have to open the car about a few hundred masks. And of course everyone has their own mask now that they can wear and they can rewash it. And you have to do social distancing. Social distancing is making sure that you're not any closer to a person than 2 meters. And apparently, where I'm working, they have this track and trace leaflet that we fill out every day. And we must put a person's name down and department down if we're in contact with them less than 2 meters for more than 15 minutes. Now, I fill that in every day and it goes into a box and it's collected, and I definitely don't spend up to 15 minutes in close contact less than 2 meters with anybody, and I suspect everybody is the same as me, and no one is going to be doing that. And you know it's not becoming second nature. But I was saying I was confused, and I suppose why I'm confused is one of the things I find really confusing is the international response to COVID-19. Well, there is no international response. There hasn't been any news of any get-together or meeting or strategy, or the world leaders haven't got together to discuss it or anything like that. Every country has a kind of a different set of restrictions, and even different counties in different countries. Like for example in Ireland, we had a situation where there was 3 counties went back to the lockdown. When they say they went back to the lockdown, no. They went back to the restrictions that were there. The word lockdown, as I say, I don't think can be applied to anything we've done. But it is the phrase that's being used. I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist now, but I'm not going to put forward any conspiracy theory. I'm just asking questions, and I'm just voicing my confusion. Because I always felt that there was people much smarter and cleverer than me in the world, and they were called government and leaders, and I thought that they'd be the people that would be in charge, and they'd be the people that would help us if there was any major catastrophe. For example, I thought government leaders might be strong enough to restrict any movement in and out of Wuhan in China as far back as December. I thought government leaders might go to the trouble of restricting any movement in and out of Italy in February. I thought government leaders would get together and have a consistent, across the board response to something like a pandemic. But they don't. And it makes me suspicious. The questions I have is, how did this virus really start? Because it's never really been reported clearly how it started, and it's lost now in the annals of history because no one ever talked about it. It's had to be skipped over. How come the virus only targets people that have underlying conditions and that are elderly? The last virus that was targeting people was the AIDS virus back in the 80s. HIV and AIDS targeted gay people and, well, homosexual men and drug addicts, people that used needles, or people that swapped very intimate fluids, which is basically not in the majority. So that was HIV, and HIV targeted people. When you say it targeted people, no, it affected some people more than others. The virus affected some people more than others. Here we are now, all these years later. Oh, which by the way, HIV, the way HIV came about, at the time it was reported that it was a virus that started in monkeys, or in the ape kingdom. So a man must have had sex with a monkey, and then he got HIV, and he spread it. That was the story there. Unless someone's going to correct me with that story, no, but the origin of HIV was as vague as the origin of COVID. And the origin of COVID is vague. There's no two ways about it. So I'm probably never going to know the answers to some of the questions that I have. It's good to be curious. I'm not up all night awake thinking about these things. I'm actually very grateful for all the opportunities that is after opening for me. I'm really liking this full-time employment gig. I did it before. I worked in companies before where I was an employee and where they took care of you. And Pepsi really take care of you. So since I started, they've been giving me stuff. Like they give me a good wage, and then they will give me €100 bonus per week for 3 months for being good enough to work through the COVID. Next year, they gave me a new jacket. They gave me that shortly. They gave me some gifts, like they gave me a gift box with crisps and Pepsi products. And every month they give me a slab of fizzy drink or a box of crisps, whichever one I want. Which is nice because Colette likes the 7up free. And during this time, and after losing 10 kilos, I made videos about that already, so I'm not going to go into it in depth here. I'm feeling fit, I'm feeling healthy, I'm feeling optimistic. I have good energy, I'm getting the back room paint, well, I'm not getting the paint, I'm actually painting the back room. And I'm going to use all that ceiling paint out on the walls here to get a good coating on the walls so that the paint will stick on nicely when I put it on Tuesday. I hope this video turns out alright. It helps me when I talk and when I'm making videos. It helps me to organise my thoughts and clarify my thoughts. It'll be interesting in a few years' time to find out what the answers to my questions are, or if they'll ever come up, or if this video will last. Looking back on this video in 5 years' time, I wonder how things will be. It looks like COVID is going to be around forever. It looks like the powers that be, which is another catch-all phrase, who knows who the powers that be are okay with leaving the virus hang around forever. Because my brother Connor said something very, he said something very intelligent to me in the early phases of this. He said, if we all stay in, this virus can't last more than 3 weeks. It technically can't last more than 2. The minute the virus has no host, no new host, it's gone. So like that would, what that would indicate to me then is if we had a proper lockdown where nobody leaves their house for 3 or 4 weeks properly, don't move, buying a few bits and pieces. There was a bit of panic buying at the start of this. Toilet roll for some reason. People must have thought that there was going to be some kind of diarrhea attached to this or something, but anyway, that's beside the point. If we didn't panic buy, if we just nice and calmly just stayed in for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, proper lockdown, well this thing would be gone completely. And maybe it will come to that, because the figures that are dying in America are up in the 100,000s, and the figures of people being infected around the world in places like India and Brazil and America are huge numbers. So we'll see. I suspect that there'll be a meeting at some stage with the world leaders and they'll say, right, enough is enough now, we're going to lock down properly. But let's see. It'll be interesting to see what happens. and look back on this video. Thanks for watching.